All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to take a continued look at this commercial that we shot in the middle of nowhere. In fact, not the middle of nowhere, a place called Broome. Except there's one problem with Broome. There's no equipment rentals. We cannot drive a truck up there. There's definitely no generator. On this trip, we're taking myself, first AC, and a gaffer, and the producer, and the director. And that's pretty much it. So what we're going to be able to do is much more limited than what we would normally be trying to do. And today we're going to look at some exterior shots. I'm going to tell you how it actually goes on a travel job like this. So the ad is, the director referenced quite a bit of Wes Anderson, right? It's like center framing, everybody static in the frame sort of vibe. That's what you get when you should be looking at these images. And we're going to talk about how there's lots to get in however many days we're there. I forget how many, 3 or 4 days we're there. And yes, you have sort of a storyboard of this would be ideal, but we're on a travel job. And that means that you don't get to go home at night. You're basically on the clock the entire time you're there. And that's not a bad thing because you can get shots that you could never get if you were actually working a structured sort of 10-hour day in a normal city, because overtime kicks in. Everybody wants to go home. They've got families to get to. Here, we're all staying at the same hotel. It's like if the light looks good in the morning, we can do donut days. If we talk to the crew, and instead of having to talk to 50 crew members, you only have to talk to 5 people. You're like, hey, is it okay if we take a 4-hour break in the middle of the day because the light is absolutely horrendous? And the answer is yes, right? We can do something else in those 4 hours, take a little nap or go to the pool and enjoy life. So we're able to get much different lighting on exterior. So you can solve problems in different ways. Normally, if you were going to do this on a normal 10-hour day, it's like we have to solve it a different way. Maybe we have to light it up, or we have to overcome the location or the limitations with resources. Here, we can just, well, let's just wait it out and see if the sun changes position or if we can get any better. And one of those examples is this first shot that we are going to look at. We're going to look at 2 different setups today, both exteriors. But this first one is, the idea behind the commercial is there's this guy, Scuba Steve, or I forget what his actual name is, but he's a guy stuck in this scuba gear, right? Because Broome, very famous for its pearl divers, and this is one of them. He can't get out of the suit to enjoy a nice frosty beverage. And that's the ad, right? It's for a beverage company. So here he is. He's in the water, and past goes a shark, okay? So that's the gag. And it's supposed to, it's not supposed to look like a real shark. It's supposed to look like a fake shark. There's tons of different ways that you can do this. Nothing about this says it has to be any specific time of day. This is just like maximum flexibility going into the shoot is we got to get a shot of Old Mate in the water, in the suit, and then we'll just, I think they had mocked up, somebody had made, one of the art department people back in the city had made one of these fins, and we were just supposed to like float it under the water, okay? But remember what I just said about where this is being shot. This is being shot in Broome, in the northwest of Australia. You know what's in the water? Everything that can kill you is in that water. Chances of anybody getting in the water at this time of year that we were there, right? You want some giant dinosaur latching onto your body? You don't want to be in the water then. I don't know, maybe you do. I definitely did not. So then it becomes, well, how are we going to get this shot? Are we actually going to stick somebody in the water? Probably not. What are we going to do? You guessed it, we're going to rely on VFX, especially on a travel job where we don't have the resources to be able to, shoot this in a pool and then have a green screen behind and comp all of the elements on there. It's not going to work. We're going to have to make this slightly dirtier. But from a creative point of view, what's the best time if we're shooting exteriors and we're shooting this shot? It's like, when would be the best time to fit it in? Do we want, and this is a conversation you have with the director and yourself, it's like, do we want it feeling oppressive, like top down, overhead, sun directly overhead, really, really harsh light? It's like, maybe we want that. Or maybe we want it low sun, right? Like raking across the water and a big long shadow so we get a big giant shark shadow flying across the screen, maybe. Or maybe we want to, because we don't have the resources or the tools necessary to do a bunch of beautiful looking stuff whenever we desire. So why don't we like lean into beauty anytime we can? And this is an opportunity where, if the sun was just below the horizon, if we just waited around long enough, then you'd have this nice softbox in the sky. The color of the sky would be really that beautiful northwestern Australian sunset. Like, it could be amazing, right? Well, does that work with the schedule? If it doesn't work with the schedule, let's we'll tell ourselves a story that we wanted overhead light, right? But if it does work with the schedule, let's do it. And this is one where we go to the beach, we find the right beach, and we go there on the day that we land. So we land, ideally you'd like to get there and like go check out all the locations, which is exactly what we did for when we're actually shooting inside interior stuff, some of which by this point I think we would have looked at some of the bar interior stuff. So you land, you do a quick scout, and then it's like, well, we've seen all the locations because Broome is the size of a, shoebox. It's not that big. So we've seen all the locations. Now what do we do? Now we're not scheduled to shoot until the following day, but we're here and all the gear's here. And is there anything on the list that we could tick off that doesn't require a huge setup? The answer? Old Mate in the water. Okay, so let's go to what we actually did. So that's the setup. Like that's 90% of the battle is deciding, can we actually pull this off? So there is your boy in the water, right? When I said I wouldn't get in the water, this is about as deep as I would get. And if you know anything about Broome, you know that the tide here, it's huge shifts in the tide. So this ended up being this deep for like basically until the rocks. So what we do for this frame is, number one, I went out and stood in the water because it's like, well, is it going to be too deep? Is it not deep enough? Obviously in the frame, we need the shark swimming by like waist high. So it would be cool if we found a beach where it dropped off really quickly and Old Mate could stand in the water waist high. And because we don't have any equipment, we have a set of head and legs. And it has to be, we're going to VFX this, right? It's not going to be an actual shark fin in there because nobody wants to get under the water. So we're going to have to VFX it anyway. It would be great if the water was up here. Problem, this stays this depth for a long, long way out, okay? Much longer than you would want to actually be in the water for. So then it comes back, well, maybe we just shoot it in this depth and we VFX the actual water on top of him. So we're VFXing the water and we're VFXing the shark going by. So now the question is, what do we want in the background? Because that's really all we're choosing here. Yes, we're choosing water, but really we're choosing background. It's like, would you rather have flat nothing? So if we panned the camera to the right, we would be getting, the sun's over here, right? We would be getting less backlight, but we would be getting all water. If we pan the camera to the left, the sun is going to be in the frame and we get shore because the shore is over here. So it's like, well, I didn't really like the look of just water over here. And we liked that there was, okay, like a little bit of shore, like a little rocky outcropping. That's kind of cool, right? Like gives you a little bit of depth where there is none. If you just shoot at the horizon, it's just water. But really, it came more down to backlight, right? Like we don't have any lighting. So we have to shoot what is here. What would be better, and I think I've done an entire video on this channel, but I think we did it on a virtual set, so you didn't get to see the effects of it. I have long argued that the only time really that you don't want a backlight, or that I wouldn't immediately go to backlight, is for sunset shots, right? If you want magic hour shots, in fact, this is a great example of it. If you want magic hour shots, what you're looking for is that big soft sky with a little bit of soft directional push. So if you shoot it backlit, what ends up happening is you can almost see it here. You'll see it better in a second. See how it's brighter? Obviously where the sun is over here, the sky is going to be brighter over here. So if we were to pan the camera that way, left, you're going to get a hotter and hotter sky, but the person getting lit up, or the subject, is going to be darker and darker and darker relative to the background. And that's not what we want, right? We want to bring those contrast levels together in magic hour. So my argument has always been, well, this is the only time we don't want to shoot backlit. Like it'd be better if we pan the camera right, not because what's going to happen locally. Locally, it's going to be a nightmare until the sun is actually below the horizon. If it's not below the horizon, if it's above, and we pan to the right this way, so imagine me rotating 90 degrees this way, you're going to be getting smashed with really harsh side light. Now you can put up a frame, you can put up a solid to block all the light, to take that away. But what you get is a much more colorful and lower light level sky. And that is, to me, it looks a lot better at magic hour than it does looking towards the sun. And very rarely would I ever say, don't backlight something, but this is one of those cases. So we go from that test footage where I will tell you, like the first AC is out here, camera assistant, and he's putting the head and legs in the water, and he feels something go past his foot. Like, you can feel something with a little bit of meat on it. And he didn't say anything. the entire time until we were out of there because he didn't want anybody to panic. But I can tell you that I would have definitely panicked at this stage. So this is the shot that we ended up going with. You can see how much the tide has gone out. First off, like it's racing out, but super, super shallow. And you can see how much the better the sky is, the color of the sky. This is probably only, what, like maybe 20 minutes apart, right? Like blue and kind of white. And yeah, in the grade, you could pull this way down and you could add color to it. But this is just ungraded, straight out of the camera. This is way nicer, right? You get that much nicer hue on this side of the image because it's darker. Whereas this, you start to lose the saturation as it goes lighter and lighter and lighter, where we want the color. And we're happy. Again, if you look here at the distribution of the light, super, super soft around the front, which is what we're going for. We're going for that mix. And, you know, we didn't go all the way to the side. And why didn't we go all the way to the side? Well, I already sort of explained it. There was no more land over there, which made it super flat. But also, we didn't have, this is the gaffer just here, and he's holding the sunbounce, the California sunbounce here, the little 6x, just to add a little bit of wrap from the same side that the sun is on, right? Sun over here hits the helmet, and I don't want it to just fall off into one level. I want it to just have a little tiny bit of wrap, right? Just a tiny bit. That's all we're asking. And it's not even that the wrap, that you feel the wrap. You just don't want it to be all one level because one level is flat. Even if it only makes like a half a stop difference, you just want a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of level. So, and the angle, like, would it be better if we were, like, if we could move this background to the right and we blocked off or we softened this to knock some of the level out of it, that backlight, you'd get even more color in the sky. So you're balancing that in your mind when you're shooting. It's like, ooh, which is going to be harder to deal with later on? Adding color to the sky or getting the right levels on our man? And it's like, this is an easy answer because we don't have the tools to get the right level on our man. We don't have the resources, the people. We don't have any of that stuff. So let's err on getting that in a better spot, and then we'll deal with that sky later. So for VFX purposes, you can see that water would go here and shark fin cuts across here. Okay. Now, luckily for me and for every other cinematographer out there, unless you're the unfortunate one, I don't double up as a VFX supervisor or a VFX artist. So I don't have to deal with any of the problems. I like creating the problems. That's why I stopped offering my services as a colorist, because you're the one receiving all the problems. I want to create the problems. So that's one scene. Okay, we did that on the day when we weren't supposed to be shooting anything. You just get there, you knock one out because it's the least amount of setup. It's a camera and a sunbounce, right? Plus, like if we can end the first day on the beach, right? A couple of beers, we're laughing. Okay, let's go to the next one here. This is also outdoors, and this was on our outdoor day. We had an afternoon where we had to get, 5 or 6 of these setups that were all around town. We had to find a couple of things where we could throw Old Mate into the mix. And this was my favorite one. This is, again, like, think Wes Anderson. Dude in the suit, here he is in front of a boat. We got to get some big epic boat. And to do that, we got to choose, well, the right time of day, because again, we only have a sunbounce, right? Imagine a sunbounce just here. And in fact, when we actually shot this, we moved the sunbounce way closer. Why did we move the sunbounce way closer? Because he's not moving, right? He's just standing there in this montage. So if he's not moving, boom, garbage mat around this, get a plate. The camera's not handheld or anything because it's Wes Anderson style. And then we can remove the gaffer, said gaffer. So that's how you maximize what you can do with a little California sunbounce. But really the heavy lifting here is we walked up to this location, and it's like a graveyard or a dry dock for all these boats up there. And it's like, okay, pick your favorite one. This one looks the best by far. It's the best image. This isn't in the storyboards or anything. We're just looking for interesting frames. It's better than a white boat. It looks kind of cool. The question was like, can we get in there and up there? That would be better. No, we can't. Okay, well, let's just do it in front of the thing. What does the schedule allow for time for this big chunk of like 5 of these different setups all across town? We need to figure out when that time frame is going to be, and then just order them so that they're going to all look the best. And it happened to be that this one was the least time sensitive because it was sort of backlit all day long, but it got better as the day went longer. So then the default was, well, let's just leave this one, not to the very last, but to the second last, because the very last one had, which we'll look at in another video, had more timing demands, which would make it halfway decent. So this one was, the important thing here is get the sun out of the frame. Okay, so you just have to take Sunseeker, and you see the sun path. And you're like, I don't want the sun here. I don't want the sun here or here. I want it completely out of the frame. And this is the side of the boat that we're looking at. So remember that first day, before we did the previous scene that we just looked at. This, I think we did on our last day, day 4, I think. So we want to get out and start planning. It's like, well, there's only one thing to make this location work. We don't want to shoot from the other side of the boat because that's going to be front lit all day. Can we shoot in the morning? No, we're doing something else in the morning. Okay, well, let's wait until it's out of the frame. What time is it going to be out of the frame? Sunseeker says anytime after 3:30, and we don't want the sun to go down, so anytime between 5:30 and 3:30. That's our window. And how long is it going to take to set up? Well, as long as it takes to get out of the car and put the camera there, because the sun bounce is ready to go. You just walk in, it's like a poly, and that's it. Okay, let's go. So this is about a 10-minute setup, and we did 2 versions of this. We did one like this wide shot, which is my favorite. And you can see, what's this? What are we doing with the little flag, the matte box thing in the image? Why are we doing that? Well, because we're shooting for 239, and we're going to finish 239, so it looks much more like this. Okay, not quite as epic for this particular frame, but it worked for the project overall. So that was the vibe, hence why we could have the matte box thing in there and not be concerned. So I like that image. And the alt for that was, well, let's just go closer and pretend that he's trying to really get his helmet taken off of there. And you can see now, what have we done? We've moved closer to the boat. Why have we moved closer to the boat? Because if we would have kept tighter at this distance, we ended up with nothing but boat, like, because we'd have to level up in height, and then the background ends up being just blue boat, which flattens things off. And again, when we are low on resources, we need to make the location work for us for layers. So like scene off of the boat here, that was nice. We wanted to embrace that. We didn't want just a block blue background because you couldn't see what it actually was. And in conversations with the director, it was like, we're either going to use the wide or we're going to use this one. It's one or the other. It's not both. So in this shot, we have to see the whole boat to get an understanding of where he is. So when you finish in 239, it looks something like this. It's like, okay, we got the buoy in there that we put, buoy up there that we dressed. We got the boat. We see a little bit off. We're not standing in the shadow of this thing because then it would be flat here. We're standing just outside the shadow. So if you imagine the shadow on the ground, there it is. You can see it there. Actually, easier in this one. You can see the shadow here. Well, we don't want Old Mate standing on this side of the boat in the shadow for the close-up because he's going to be all flat. We want him just here. Just stand right there, sir. And that way you get the edge from the sun and you get against a dark background with a dark background in the deep background. And you wrap the little sunbounce and everybody's winning. Does that sound like a plan? Yes, it does. Okay, let's shoot. Why? Because we have 10 other scenes to get before the sun goes down. Let's go just a little bit faster. So really here, it's a story of schedule and what can you get away with and what can you use VFX for so that on the day when you're traveling, it's like you get the max that you can out of this. If we would have tried to set this up, like, imagine you put the whole 20 by 12 neg up here, you put the 12 by ultra here. Yeah, maybe you get a little bit more shape here and maybe you use like a lame over here to get a little bit more level on the boat itself. But it's pretty close, right? For only having 4 crew members. It's not bad. And we keep moving. And that's the whole job. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. If you like this stuff, if you want to see it earlier, all of these things, if you want more behind the scenes, if you want more technical details and workflows and the decision-making process, or to understand more about the BODVO system, which is the system for blocking that I use in my mind, I don't know if anybody else uses this stuff, but this is the way that I think, and it works for me. If you want that stuff, or if you just want to support the channel, the best spot to do it is over on Patreon. I try and do a video every week over there, breaking down something that I have shot before, trying to help you learn things and to get better, basically faster. That's the whole idea behind the Patreon series. And yeah, that's it. Many thanks. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.